stripy aqua and blue design. So for this design I'm using a plain white case. I'm then grabbing some Scotch tape and placing pieces of tape horizontally down the iPhone case, leaving about the width of the Scotch tape itself between each piece of tape, like so. I'm then just pressing the tape down to make sure that it's all secure and in place. And I'm then grabbing a makeup sponge again and painting one side of the roof, let's call it, blue, and the other side with this aqua greenish polish. And so then what I'm going to do is sponge on the blue polish onto the gap between two pieces of Scotch tape, going about halfway up the strip, and then sponging on the aqua greenish shade onto the other half of the strip. I'm then repeating this step for the other strips between Scotch tape, except I'm alternating the green and blue shades for each strip, if that makes any sense at all. You can just see here what I mean. And once I've done that for the whole case, I'm then just going to run the sponge over the center of the strips where there isn't tape to blend out those shades so we can get a bit of a gradient effect happening. Because the sponge applies the polish so thinly, it should dry quite quickly, so I also like to gently rub my hand across the case just to remove any sponge microfibers that may have come off. And once I'm happy with how the colours are blended out, we're ready to peel back that Scotch tape, and voila! You can see how crisp those lines are from using the Scotch tape. It's seriously so satisfying to peel this tape back. This one, and this is like a hard acrylic case, so not soft like the ones I used last time, but it really doesn't matter, you can use either. I'm then grabbing a scrap piece of paper and folding it in half, then cutting out a half heart shape. We're going to use this as a template for our neon heart. I'm then just checking the size against the case, and I think it's a little bigger than I'd like, so I'm going to trim that heart shape down a bit. And that's more like it. I'm then grabbing another piece of paper and folding that in half and just tracing around the heart shape that we were happy with, and then cutting this out. And there we have it, a perfect template for our ombre heart. I'm now securing this paper down with some Scotch tape and making sure all little bits of the template are in place so no nail polish seeps under the paper. I'm then grabbing a makeup sponge. These ones are my absolute favourite. They're the house-shaped sponges from Daiso and they're so good. I can't tell you guys how good they are. I've then picked out 4 shades I'd like to use for the heart. You guys know I love pastels and neon, so I'm going to use these ones from Ice Cream Nails today. I'm then painting the neon green onto half of the sponge. You'll see why I'm just painting half in a second. I'm then gently dabbing down the green in a straight line across the top quarter of the heart, and just adding a few layers of that green until I'm happy with how the colour shows up. I'm then going to paint the bottom half of the makeup sponge with blue and adding a line of blue polish to the second quarter of the heart. And as you can see, I'm using the same sponge for both colours so that we can kind of blend them out where the two colours meet. I'm then going to do the same thing for the purple polish where it meets the blue polish, and then for the purple and pink. It's a good idea to use polishes with an opaque formula for this, otherwise you'll need a lot of layers for the polishes to show up. Once I've added all the colours, I'm just quickly touching the heart up again where I think it needs it, and now we're ready to remove the template. So I'm gently peeling the sticky tape back, and there we have it, an adorable neon ombre case. And last but not least, we're going to create this faded pastel-y watercolor case. I don't really know what else to call it. So I'm using one of the clear iPhone cases for this design, and I'm starting out by sponging some white polish down onto the inside of the case to create a bit of a cloudy, foggy base. I'm then grabbing a bunch of pink and purple polishes and just randomly placing blobs down across the inside of the case. I'm then grabbing my makeup sponge again and blending those colours out to create a bit of a watercolour effect. And I'm just going to repeat that step until I'm happy with how the colours look. By the way, this was a total experiment, so I was really just playing around and had no idea how this would turn out. And that's pretty much all I did for this case. It was really easy and I just think it looks quite soft and unique. The first case we're going to do is an ombre design, and I'm just grabbing this plain white case, and don't you just hate it when this happens? It seriously happens to me all the time. So I'm also grabbing a white piece of paper and some makeup sponges, and I'm brushing on some white polish and a bright neon green to start off with, and I'm just sort of lightly dabbing that on to get a bit of a guide of where I want the colours to be. And then when I'm happy with where that is positioned, I'm adding a bit more green onto the sponge and then just dabbing it down and transferring that polish over onto the iPhone case. And so I'm then coming in with a slightly darker green, greenish aqua color and just blending that in, and you can see how the ombre is starting to appear. And then going back with the same sponge and the lighter shade of green, I'm just going to work my way through the middle of those two colors, and as you can see, they're blending quite well. And I think that's why it's really good to use the same makeup sponge as well, because then the colors all kind of blend in as you use it. Now I'm just adding a slightly darker shade of blue here, and then again adding those two colors onto the sponge so that they blend in quite well together. Just working that in a bit more, adding some more blue. And now I'm coming in with some purple polish and actually a clean makeup sponge for this one. I'm just adding some purple down the bottom and going to blend that in with the blue so that the colours you get that ombre effect as the colours blend together. Now I did find that a little bit too harsh, the purple, so I'm adding a bit of white to kind of soften that and blend it in a bit better together. As you can see, you might find that some of the fibres from the sponges transfer over onto the case, so I'm just very gently brushing my hand over to remove any makeup sponge fibres that have attached, and you'll find that the layers actually dry really quickly, so the nail polish isn't wet when you're doing this. And so yeah, I'm just going to keep blending through those colours, and as you can see, it's so ombre. Like, I just love how this turned out, and that's the finished result for our first case. The second case we're going to do is a galaxy design, and I'm grabbing a makeup sponge and a plain black case. And then I'm going to add a bit of white polish to the makeup sponge, and as we would for a galaxy nail art design, I'm just going to sponge that on in a sort of swirl shape. It really doesn't matter how you do this, but I like to do it sort of a bit of a swirl through the center of the case and just dabbing down that white so it transfers over. I just wanted to soften it up a bit, so I came in with some black polish to sort of blend out the black and the white together, and I'm just cutting up a makeup sponge so I'm not wasting so many sponges, and I'm coming in with some purple and blue polish and just sort of dabbing that on in a couple of different areas of the white just to get a bit of color through it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a bit of an aqua green color, and then again adding a little bit more black just to soften it up a bit so that the colors aren't so harsh, and just working through a little bit more color till I have the desired effect. Now I'm coming in with a white polish and a very fine nail art brush, and I'm just drawing on a star here. I've done a cross, and then I'm joining each of the points of the cross and just filling that in to get that kind of cool bright star look. I don't really know what, diamond, that's what it is. And then I'm going to add another one on the other side of the case. And with a small dotting tool, I'm coming in and just adding some stars, and look how cool that looks. It actually looks like a galaxy. I'm so amazed. And then I'm finishing it off with some silver glitter just for some final touches to make it sparkly and add that, galaxy starry night effect. And there's the finished product. Now for the third design, we're going to do a nail polish emoji case. This one's really simple. I actually jumped onto Google and I searched for the nail emoji, and I just saved that to my desktop, then opened up a Word document and copied in that image. And I copied a couple of different sizes because I wasn't exactly sure how big the case was and how it was going to fit into the case. So I then just printed that out in color and grabbed a clear iPhone case and just put that over the emoji printout and to see which one would fit, and turns out that the big one actually was quite a close size, so I'm going to go with that one. And once I'm happy with how that fits, I'm cutting it out, and I'm very carefully cutting along the line Then just grabbing the case again as a template to put it on and see exactly where I want it to fit, just trimming it down slightly to size so that it will fit well inside the case. And then I'm grabbing my phone and placing that on top where I want it to sit. I'm just grabbing some washi tape and going to just stick that down onto my iPhone. It won't leave any sticky residue or anything because the tape's not overly sticky, so I'm quite happy to just put that straight onto my iPhone. And then just a little bit on the top of that nail polish brush. And then that's seriously it. And it looks so cool. It looks like I bought this phone case. I love it so much. I've been using it ever since I made it. I'm so obsessed with it.